Okay, let's think about this for a second. What if you could build really complex apps, not by grinding out lines and lines of code, but just by, well, saying what you want? That's what we're digging into today, a brand new stack for Flutter that promises to let you build at the speed of thought. It's pretty wild.
All right, so here's the game plan. We're going to start with this whole new way of coding. Then I'll introduce you to your new AI teammate. Super cool stuff. We'll check out the open source backend that powers it all, see it in action with a real project, and then we'll wrap up by talking about what this all means for your job as a developer. Sound good? Let's go.
So first things first, this new way to code. The whole idea here is shifting from just writing code to actually expressing your vision. You know how it is in traditional development, right? There's always this gap, this friction between what's in your head and what you can actually get onto the screen. I mean, if you've ever built an app, you totally know the drill. So much boilerplate. All that repetitive setup, the config files, it just grinds you down and totally gets in the way of the fun creative part, right? And the solution to that grind? It's something called Agentic Development. Now look, this is way more than just your typical AI code completion that's trying to guess the next word you're going to type. No. This is a whole different way of working. We're talking about AI agents that can actually plan stuff out, execute it, and even check their own work, all from a simple natural language prompt. It is, without a doubt, a total game changer.
Okay, so how does this actually come together? Let's meet your new AI teammate. This is Google's Antigravity. And get this, it's not just another plugin or extension. We're talking about a whole new development environment built from the ground up with this agent-first idea at its core.
So what does it actually feel like to code this way? Well, Flutter developer Anna Musichina put it perfectly. She said it's like having a really capable junior developer who just never gets tired. Seriously, imagine that. An assistant who just handles all the tedious stuff, freeing you up to focus on the big, creative problems.
This workflow is it's awesome. Check it out. Step 1. You just give it a prompt. Describe what you want in plain English. Then, the AI agent comes back with a super detailed plan for you to look over. And here's the key part, the part I love. You are completely in control. You can approve it, you can argue with it, you can make changes, and only when you give the green light does the agent go off, write the code, run the tests, and, get this, it even shows you a video of what it did. You're always the pilot here.
And this right here really nails the difference. The old way, code completion, that was just passive help, right? It suggests the next word while you do all the heavy lifting. The new way, it's active work. The agent is executing these complex, multi-step tasks for you. It writes the code so you can finally pull back and focus on the vision, the big picture.
Of course, a killer front end needs a solid back end, right? So let's talk about the other half of this power duo, Supabase. It's the open source backend that, well, a lot of people are talking about right now.
Superbase just burst onto the scene with this incredibly simple but really powerful promise. Firebase, but open source and SQL-based. And man, for developers who love the convenience of Firebase but were craving the power and flexibility of a real Postgres database, this was everything.
Really, the core difference here comes down to philosophy. Think of Firebase as that perfectly polished Apple product. It's beautiful, it's easy, it just works. Supabase? That's more like a finely tuned performance card that you own and can tinker with. It's incredibly powerful, it's transparent, and it's built on open standards. So as you can see here, Firebase is awesome for MVPs and quick sprints, but when you're building a real production app for the long haul, a marathon, not a sprint, that's where Supabase really shines.
Okay, theory is great, but let's get to the fun part. Let's see how Antigravity and Supabase actually team up to build real apps and solve some seriously tough real-world problems.
First up, we have Migra Focus. This is a pretty complex health app for tracking migraine triggers. And the craziest part, it was built by one developer. A solo dev taking on challenges that you'd normally need a whole team for. That's just incredible. And we're not talking about small challenges here. These were huge. You've got complex physics and sensor logic for tracking barometric pressure. You have all that, let's be honest, boring UI work of localizing the app into 6 different languages. And then there's the really scary stuff, like generating pixel-perfect medical PDF reports from the backend. Plus, on top of all that, you have to ensure patient data is locked down tight, which is where Superbase's row-level security came in clutch.
So how did Antigravity deal with that really tricky sensor logic? With a single sentence. That's it. Instead of wrestling with complex async code, the developer just told it what to do.
Create a stream listener that detects drops greater than 4 HPA over 3 hours. And bam, the agent nailed the code on the very first try. I mean, that's what they're calling vibe coding, and it is awesome. All right, for our next example, let's switch gears a bit. We've got a water tracker app, but this one is all about that premium user experience. It's not just about tracking water. It's about being elegant, modern, and even a little calming to use.
So the challenges here were totally different. It was all about polish and sophistication. The developer needed to build a gorgeous glass morphism UI, that frosted glass look with the blurred backgrounds. They had to add data persistence that also knew how to reset every day, and they wanted to implement on-device AI for smart, private reminders. And of course, you got to have those little premium touches, like a confetti explosion when you hit your daily goal. It's the little things.
But what's really, really cool about this app is how it handles AI. It's using Gemma 3N, which is a model that runs entirely on the user's device. Let that sink in. This means the AI coach can give you super smart, personalized reminders, and none of your personal health data ever leaves your phone. It's a completely privacy-first approach, and in today's world, that is a huge deal for users.
Okay, so we've seen this stack in action. Now let's zoom out a little bit. What does all of this actually mean for the future of software development? What does it mean for your role as a developer?
The single most important thing to get here is that this is about empowerment, not replacement. It's about you staying in the driver's seat with AI as a very, very powerful tool. Your expertise, your vision, that becomes even more important, not less.
What's happening is your role is just evolving, and honestly, for the better. You shift from being a writer to being an editor, right? You're reviewing and refining what the AI proposes. You finally get to spend your brainpower on the what, the product logic, the user experience, instead of getting bogged down in the how. And here's a pro tip. To keep your skills from getting rusty, you can use the AI as a personal tutor. Just keep asking it why, and you can turn every single session into a chance to learn something new.
And all of this leaves us with one last kind of mind-blowing thought. Forever, software development has been limited by how long it takes to turn an idea into code. But now, if the AI can handle the how, the only question left is, what will you build?